Hi, I'm Emilia.
And I'm Yvonne. Together, we wrote a book on female friendships, and boy, do we have questions.
We're here to continue the conversation and help women to navigate, cultivate, and celebrate female friendships.
This is Girl Friendships.
Well, I was in Ottawa in cold January of 2020 giving a presentation at a conference, and at the end of it, there was a long line of people who wanted to ask questions about what I was presenting about, and one of those people who stayed around till the very end was Emilia. And she said, "Oh, I hear you're an author. I would love to come and pick your brain about the writing life," and that's kind of how we met.
Yeah, and when we got back to the GTA, I gave Yvonne a call. And I explained to her the idea for the book. And she said, well, I've never said this to anyone. I've never even had this desire or inclination, but I would love to collaborate with you on this project. Would you be open to it? So I think it's such a cool story because, Yvonne and I barely knew each other when we embarked on this years-long project.
Yeah, sometimes you hear words coming out of your mouth that you kind of go, did I just offer to collaborate with somebody?
Yeah. And it was so cool because I think we both just followed that, nudge of intuition to write this book together. And it really couldn't have turned out better. Like the collaboration could not have turned out better because we really balance each other's
Exactly.
strengths.
We are two different styles, two different personality. I'm older, she's younger. We've got different perspectives, but the more we talked, the more there was this synergy, like a meeting of the minds. So that's kind of our origin story. And a year later, we had a book and many discussions.
Many discussions.
Many debates.
It was growing and evolving, as we wrote the book. I think especially my perspectives, they were shifting and changing. So it was just this ever-evolving conversation that we had.
Right. And because we also wanted to bring not just our views, but we wanted to bring some method to this writing, we decided to survey our friends and get perspectives from anybody we could think of. So we sent out a survey to women to ask their perspectives on female friendship. And by the end of the period, we had responses from 110 women we were amazed at what they were prepared to share about their female friendships, the good, the bad, the ugly, the in-between. So that's what we're here to talk about, all those things.
Yeah, everything we've learned through our own journeys, everything that we've learned in conversations with other women and through the surveys. And it's just been so amazing to see the enthusiasm for this topic. That's been the coolest thing about it for me.
Amazing. You guys sound like you have a lot of synergy together because you bounce off of each other a lot. So it's good that you probably wrote a book together.
Yes, I'm the head and she's the heart.
I love that.
That's a great way to explain it. So moving into our first segment for today, I know I had introduced everything and said that we were going to discuss best friends and great friends and what factors made us decide. So, can you guys give an example of a long-standing friend in you guys' life? One that is either history or mystery now?
Ooh, history or mystery. I love the mystery.
Yeah.
Mystery. The friend has disappeared off the planet. Why don't you go ahead, Emilia?
Yeah, I would love to, actually. There's a particular friendship that really inspired this book. And it was, through challenges that she and I had gone through that I felt at the time, this was when we were both in our early to mid 20s. I didn't really know how to address my feelings, and I didn't know how to, have the conversations that I needed to with her. And it sort of just put up a little bit of a wall between us, and we were still close, and and we still kept in touch, and we still made plans, and we were there for each other, but there was kind of this unspoken thing. And I didn't know how to address those challenges at the time. And so this book was inspired by that because I really wanted to give women the tools to address challenges in their friendships. And the most amazing thing is that since then, my friend has read the book, and it's actually created an opportunity for us to be able to discuss things that we were never able to discuss or talk about. Yeah. So that's one of my most longstanding friendships. And I'm so proud of our journey, and we're closer than ever, which is just amazing.
Well, I'm just going to go off on a tangent because that's what I do. My brain jumps to things. So as I was thinking about this topic, and I have my best thinking when I'm in the shower, I was thinking, well, when do we make the decision that somebody is a friend? Is it when me personally decide to use the word friendship in my head? Or is it, what do you think? When do you make the decision? Because I'm thinking, am I and Emilia friends? We wrote a book together. We collaborated together. In my head, like I know lots of things about you now, Emilia,
Yeah.
that a friend should know. I've never been to your house.
Yeah.
We've just, so sometimes you can have a deep relationship with someone that you may not necessarily call a friendship, but it has a lot of the elements of friendships in it.
Yeah.
So when do we make that divide, to say, you are my friend, and does it happen the same time for both people?
Yeah. So I would love to speak to that because I do feel as though at some point in our, time together writing this book, our, collaboration turned into friendship. And there was a defining moment for me, actually, which was, this cold November. I was feeling really stressed out. I was really feeling down. And sort of being challenged by a lot of things within my business and just having a rough time. And you and I were hosting this virtual event. And, before the event, we're somehow chatting over Zoom. And you looked over at me, you're like, are you feeling okay? Like you seem off, like you don't seem like yourself. And it was just that moment where I knew that you understood me kind of on a deeper level and you cared about me, to be able to, speak to it when I
Paid attention.
Yeah, paying attention and caring and just knowing someone well enough to like that even when they're putting on a face, that you can read kind of between the lines and just kind of see below the surface. And so I think that was kind of the defining point for me that kind of turned our collaboration into a friendship.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that because I did not know that.
Oh, no?
And sometimes that's the thing. Sometimes you're in a relationship with someone and there comes a moment, maybe that's what it is. There's a defining moment in your friendship or in your relationship when you think, this person really cares about me. Yeah. So to get back to the topic of a long-standing friendships, I have thought I'm very self-sufficient. I like to think of myself as self-sufficient. And sometimes you know who your friends are when trouble happens in your life. I remember my mother passed away and I have a pocket of girlfriends and they literally showed up at my house that night and they prepared food, they'd organized it, they stayed with me for the whole next day. They came back again and they were just there. And I'm looking at them going, what are you doing? They go, we're here for you. And I'm thinking, whoa, that's awesome. Like I would have done that for them, but to have other people do that for me, that was in my head, oh my goodness, these people really care about me. And it just made me appreciate them even more. So maybe that's what friendship is all about. When somebody who could be a sibling, because your sibling could be a friend, but somebody really goes out of their way and sees you.
Mm-hmm. Sees you. Yeah. I think that's a good way of putting it.
Yeah. So they're not just there to take, but to give. So, yes, so I do have that long-standing pocket of friends, and I have another set of girlfriends, again, the same thing. Last night we were on the phone and we were just chatting about, planning a trip together because we're travel buddies. But we just were sharing so much laughter and craziness that, and so I was there chuckling on the phone as we were texting back and forth in our group chat. And I'm thinking, wow, I'm going to bed with a smile on my face because these women are pouring joy into my life.
Yeah. And the another thing that I found that really cements friendship is a lot of shared experiences, right? And sometimes we get to a point in our lives where we're so busy that we're having fewer of those shared experiences with our friends, and we're just kind of catching each other up. Oh, here's everything that happened to me since we last went to dinner.
Mm-hmm.
And but I do think that those shared experiences, and whether it's, going through a rough time and your friends supporting you, or going to a concert and having an amazing, fun, night, all of those kind of shared experiences, I think, bring us closer too.
Yeah, and I think the great thing about writing a book on female friendships, because it gets us to, one, acknowledge, and two, celebrate those things, because sometimes we're good at articulating what we feel about the other person, but sometimes we just let it go by. There might be something you did for me and I noted it mentally, but I never said it to you. Well, I'm trying now to say things as I think about them, to say things, because it certainly makes a difference when people hear how they're being appreciated. Gives a pep to your step.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think it's good to voice those things.
Yes. So that's what this book is all about.
Yes. So you guys already touched on a couple of topics and kind of moved into my next question, which would be like, what do you guys describe as the type of friend? Yes, the synergy is very much in the room with us. But, you guys did discuss like different types of friends that you have. So what are some types of friends that you have experienced throughout your time on Earth?
Ooh, let me start way back. I've always wanted one best friend. Even though I look extroverted, sound extroverted, I'm really an introverted heart. And I just wanted one person to be in my corner, exclusive. I have not been gifted with this through my whole life. I came close once, and we talk about that in the book. The person who I thought was going to be that friend passed away at a very young age when we were still in our teens. So since then, I've just developed pockets, what I call pockets of friends. There's some really, really close women who've poured into my life, and we've been there for each other for a long, long time. So those just came with doing things together, being at the same place, recognizing that we have things in common. Sometimes it's just being around the same spaces, and then you kind of go, oh, I kind of like this person, or they're kind, or they did this for me, or whatever. So all kind of things can trigger this foray into friendship. And sometimes it's just history. You've just been around for a long time, and this person's have always been in your life. So I don't know if I've answered the question, but I think that's kind of, I wanted a best friend, but I've ended up with pockets of friendships.
Yeah, and I'd love to speak to the best friend idea, because I feel, and I said this in the book, I've always been almost like a serial monogamist in my friendships. And I have one, and I have one, and I have like one person that I'm always the closest to, like, and yeah, and so there have been many different close friends that I've had that, I've called them my best friends, and and at different points in my life, there was kind of like that one main best friend. And it's such an interesting title too, because one of the biggest things that I realized, especially through writing this book and really thinking about a lot of these, topics and challenges, is I've realized that there's always going to be change. And so the interesting thing about naming someone your best friend is, there might be a point where you become closer to someone else. Does that mean they're not your best friend because you're not spending as much time with them? And labels can actually, be like cause hurt feelings sometimes when, because you might call somebody your best friend and then all of a sudden you're spending time with someone else, like a lot more time.
Cheater.
That's what it feels like, right? And then all of a sudden a different person is calling you their best friend. So, so like at different points in our life, and especially depending on what we have in common with someone, right? So let's say, as it was in my case, one of my closest friends, like she got married, and then another friend was newly single, and I was, single. And so, then you're spending time with your single friend because like your lives just kind of have a certain pattern to them at the moment that, your other friend doesn't have. So these things ebb and flow and change.
So basically, you're talking about the whole notion of change. So when you have a single person that you're invested in and circumstances change either with you or with that person, it's going to, of course, impact the friendship.
Yeah.
So, what I've learned, even though I wanted one best friend, there's a financial term, diversifying your portfolio, which I think applies to friendships. Pouring everything into one person could be good, but life changes for that person. And when they have to pull away or you have to pull away because of other commitment, what does that mean? But we'll delve a lot more into this in different parts of this podcast.
Yeah.
That is a neat way to say, like, change is going to impact your single friendship or every friendship.
Every friendship, every single friendship is going to be impacted by change.
Wow. Okay. Did I say we had questions? We still have questions even after writing the book.
Lots of questions. Definitely. I'd say for me, like I kind of categorize my friends into 3 different groups, like long-standing friends, proximity friends, and then convenience friends. So like proximity relationships is like, these are your friends that you went to school with and you only go to school with them. You only hang out and talk when you're at school. And then you go home, go back to whatever normal life you live, and you don't talk to them when you're outside, for example. Then like convenience friends, it's like that friend that you make at a party because you both were at the same party. You liked her shirt, I like your shirt, now we're friends. So when we see each other when we're out, it's like, oh, hey, nice to see you again, but you don't really hang out any other time except for the same places too. And then long-standing friends would be what I call my church family, where we may not have to talk every single day. My best friend is part of that group, but I still have other people that I can call on if there's an emergency. I know that I can reach out to them. They're going to be there no matter what, but they almost get treated like siblings, like family members.
Yeah, and what I've learned about having pockets or groups of friendships is that sometimes I'm just not in the mood for a particular friend. And so I have choices. It's like you're in front of a buffet table. I don't want any salad today. They're friends or like the salad, they're good for you. But some days you just want to do something wicked. And those are your chocolate brownie friends, And so if we recognize that we are diverse, we've got diverse needs and our moods and will change, it's not so much that we're not appreciating all the friends we have, but sometimes, if I'm in a particular sad phase, there are a couple of people I call on first from my friends because they're just good at that. So it's just recognizing, if you've got a range of friends to choose from, you have other people who can fulfill your needs.
Yeah. And to add to that, for myself, like being an entrepreneur, it's great to talk about entrepreneurial challenges with, my entrepreneurial friends because like you just kind of get certain things and you have certain things in common. So, maybe I've never thought of any one of my friends as salad or a brownie. But I do think that
food works.
Food works.
Not
food works.
It works.
Just feels a little judgmental. But, like they're different friends bring out different sides of you, and you can talk about different things, and you have different things in common and different interests. And yeah, it's really nice to be able to connect with people for kind of all the parts of you.
And it's to recognize that each of us, we're complex, we're complicated, and no one person can satisfy all those complicated parts of us. So just be open to letting other people in.
So as you hear, this is a great podcast if you guys want to listen and explore more about friendships, about your female friendships, and all the different aspects that they can affect your life in. I encourage you guys to continue listening, subscribe, leave a like, add 5 stars, depending on where you're rating this podcast, because we're going to end off with a celebratory note. We're going to do some appreciation, some acknowledgements for friends in our lives. So I'm going to pass it over to Emilia first.
Yeah, I'd love it if Yvonne started with this one.
Always pass it over to me. Well, my first shout out is to my friend Emilia. By virtue of working on this collaboration, because sometimes you meet people, you didn't go out. I didn't go out of my day that day saying, oh, I'm going to meet a friend. But you meet somebody, and in the course of time, you realize you have lots in common, and it has nothing to do with age, with gender, with, anything that you may presuppose that you need as a requirement for friendship. It's just the right time, the right person, the right place. And I just want to let you know I appreciate you, because as a result of working with you and you allowing me to collaborate with you on this, I've discovered things about myself. I've discovered things about you. We now have shared memories together.
Yeah.
And just thank you for just being open, because that's what I think of you. You're very open to receiving new friendships. I'm closed until I'm convinced otherwise. So thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you, Yvonne, because, as I've said it so many times, this book, like the book that we wrote together, would not have happened without the fact that, you were there to champion it and to believe in it and just to, push me to keep going with it. But I also really do value the friendship that we formed and how much we've learned from all of the conversations that we've had, and getting together for our meetings to talk about the book, and you letting me chat about things that were going on in my life and my friendships, because I really had to work through those things and figure out those things in my mind in order to confidently write something down in the book. And I so appreciate your steadfastness. I think that's the key word that I would use. Steadfastness.
All right. I'm gonna hold that one and run with it. So yeah, this is all about celebrating all the wonderful people who've poured into our lives. Because yes, we are going to go in other episodes and talk about the ups and downs and some of the things that go sideways in friendships and all that. But the book really, which we decided on that from the outset, it's about celebrating the heady joy, the constancy, the blessings that other women have poured into our lives through their friendships.
I really don't have anything else left to say. I think that's a wrap for episode number 1.
You've been listening to the Girl Friendships Podcast with Yvonne and
Emilia. Thanks for listening. You can find us wherever you listen to your favorite podcast.
Leave a comment, please, to let us know your thoughts.
And come back next time for another episode of Girl Friendships.